actualized realities as present to immerse the past and the present. The synthesis. Assembling these components yields a comprehensive answer. An unmanageable time in life's experience is a moment of profound subjective chaos, helplessness, and brokenness for a temporal creature. However, when viewed from the perspective of the future mind of God as now, this very same moment is an eternally known, perfectly ordered, and providentially integrated event within the complete tapestry of that individual's life as it is comprehended in the divine eternal present. This moment is not a surprise to God. It is not an unforeseen tragedy that disrupts his plan or forces him to react. From the eternal vantage point, the entire causal chain, the free choices that led to the crisis, the pain and suffering of the unmanageable moment itself, the cry for help that arises from the depths of that pain, and the subsequent infusion of grace and redemption, is a single, coherent story known and willed from eternity. 16. The event is unmanageable for the human precisely because the human is a finite, temporal creature, not the omnipotent, timeless God. The crisis is the experiential collision with the reality of that creaturely limitation. For God, however, the event is eternally managed as one necessary and purposeful note in the grand symphony of creation and redemption. It is the very mechanism by which a creature, endowed with genuine freedom, biologically consistent and omnipotent God 24, is brought to the point of crisis that is necessary for it to freely surrender its failed project of autonomy. This surrender, in turn, allows the creature to align its will with the divine sovereignty that was always present and absolute, but which had been resisted. 27. In essence, the unmanageable time is the crucible designed by divine providence to purify the human will. It is the point where the human being, having exhausted their own power, is finally open to receiving the power of God, a power that is made perfect in weakness. 35 What feels like the end of the world from the inside is, from the outside, from the view of the eternal mind of God, the necessary beginning of a new one. Section 7. Theological and practical implications. The complex theological analysis of an unmanageable time is not merely an abstract intellectual exercise. It carries profound practical and spiritual implications for how one navigates the inevitable crises of human life. Understanding these moments within the framework of God's eternal providence can transform one's response from despair to hope, from anxiety to trust. Reframing suffering and crisis. The primary implication of this analysis is the radical reframing of suffering. When a crisis is viewed as a random, meaningless event in a chaotic universe, or as a sign of God's absence or failure, the natural response is despair. However, when this same crisis is understood as a known, held, and providentially situated moment within God's eternal and good plan, it can be approached as an opportunity for profound spiritual growth. 35 This perspective does not negate the real pain of the experience, but it infuses it with potential meaning and purpose. trust that even in the midst of unmanageability, a sovereign God is at work, weaving the threads of chaos into a tapestry of redemption, just as he did in the life of Joseph or at the cross of Christ. 43 It gives substance to the belief that God's power is most clearly revealed not in the absence of weakness, but in its midst. 35 The importance of humility and trust. This theological framework powerfully underscores the virtues of humility and trust. The experience of unmanageability is a direct assault on human pride and the illusion of self-sufficiency. The analysis reveals that this is not just a psychological failing but a metaphysical truth. Human beings are contingent, dependent, and not in ultimate control. The proper response, therefore, is not a more desperate striving for control, but a humble surrender to the reality of one's limitations and a conscious act of trust in the sovereignty of God. 35 This trust is not a blind leap but is grounded in the theological conviction that God's omnipotence is not arbitrary but is perfectly guided by his omnibenevolence and infinite wisdom. 18 It is the trust that the one who holds all of time in his hands can be trusted with the unmanageable moments of our own lives. Eschatological hope. Finally, the personal experience of being brought by God from a state of unmanageability to a new state of grace and order serves as a powerful, personal foretaste of the ultimate Christian hope, eschatology. The individual's journey from personal chaos to personal redemption is a microcosm of the cosmic story. It reflects on a small scale the grand narrative of God's plan to redeem the entire created order from the chaos and brokenness of its fallen state and restore it to the perfect and eternal peace of the new heaven and new earth. 41 Each personal story of redemption becomes a testament to the credibility of God's final, cosmic promise. The grace that can manage a single broken life is a pledge of the grace that will one day renew the entire cosmos. In conclusion, the inquiry into an unmanageable time in life's experience of the future mind of God as now, while philosophically demanding, leads to a deeply practical and hopeful vision. It affirms that the classical theological framework, with its robust doctrines of a timeless, omniscient, omnipotent, and sovereign God, provides a powerful intellectual and spiritual resource for making sense of the most difficult aspects of the human condition. It frames our deepest crises not as evidence against God's power or goodness, but as integral, meaningful, and ultimately redemptive moments within his perfect and eternal plan. Works cited. 1. God's relationship to time and eternity, Philosophy of Religion Class Notes, Findable, Access June 19, 2025. https://library.findable.me/philosophy-religion/unit-free/god-relationship-time-eton. ITY, Study Guide Program 1 Sunkingo 9 Liquid. 2. God and Philosophy of Time, St. Andrew's Encyclopedia of Theology, Access. June 19, 2025. https://www.christianity/God and Philosophie. 3. Eternity in Christian Thought. Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Access. June 19, 2025. https://plato.stanford.edu/entries/eternity/. 4. God and Time Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Access June 19, 2025. https://iep.utm.edu/god-time/. 5. Time and Eternities. Create a learning site. Access June 19, 2025. https://www.wilrens.org/2019/12/cal68/6. God and Time. Bible Breakdown. Access June 19, 2025. https://biblebreakdown.com/blog/god-and-time. 7. The Concept of God. Philosophy A Level. Access June 19, 2025. https://philosophy-level.com/academic-revision-notes/concept-a-god/. 8. A Never-Failing Presence. Grotius on God's Eternity. Catholic Culture. Access June 19, 2025. https://www.catholic-culture.org/commentary/never-failing-present-grotius-on- God's Eternity. 9. On the Argument for Divine Timelessness from the Incompleteness of Temporal Life. Scholarly Writings. Reasonable Faith. Access June 19, 2025. https://www.reasonablefaith.org/writings/scholarly-writings/divine-eternity/on-the Argument for Divine Timelessness from the Incompleteness of Temporal. 10. The Eternity of God by Charles Hodge. Reformed Theology at a Puritan's Mind. Access June 19, 2025. https://www.apuritansmin.com/the-attributes-god-by-c-matthew-mcmahon. The Eternity of God by Charles Hodge. 11. Attributes of God. Part 6. The Eternity of God, or How Old is God? The SLJ Institute. Access June 19, 2025. https://silkinstitute.net/systematic-theology/theology-copper/attributes-god-par. RTVI. The Eternity of God, or How Old is God? 12. God, Time, and Eternity. Popular Writings. Reasonable Faith. Access June 19, 2025. https://www.reasonablefaith.org/writings/popular-writings/existence-nature-author. D. God, Time and Eternity. 1. 13. God and Time. 4 views, Denver Journal, access June 19, 2025. https://denverjournal.denverseminary.edu/the-denverjournal-articles/god-and-t. Me 4 views. 14. Time, C.S. Lewis Society of California, access June 19, 2025. https://www.lewisociety.org/time/ 15. Is the experience of time fundamental to mind? Philosophy Stack Exchange, access June 19, 2025. https://philosophy.stackexchange.com/questions/119492/is-the-experience-a-t. Me fundamental to mind. 16. Saint Augustine against the Stoics on divine foreknowledge and the freedom of the will, writes Lucien Joseph, Thinking and Meditating, access June 19, 2025.